Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
The next thing I heard was we found his body under a dock, and that was it. I just lost it after that.
Right now on WGXA News at 10, a mother talks publicly for the first time since her 3-year-old son was found dead in Lake Tobesaki.
Good evening, and thanks for watching WGXA News at 10. I'm Amir Jacobson.
And I'm Raymond Tubb. New at 10, the mother of the child who drowned over the weekend in Lake Tobesaki is in town and looking for answers. She says the story she's heard about what happened doesn't make any sense to her. WGXA's Chase Ambrose joins us live in studio with her interview. Chase.
Janine Winston says she still doesn't understand why or how her son drowned. She says he was not autistic and that he did know how to swim. Janine Winston arrived in Macon from her home in New York to make funeral arrangements for her 3-year-old son. The Bibb County Coroner's Office said the toddler drowned over the weekend at the Fishing Pig on Lake Tobesaki. But Winston says there are several things in the official report that did not make sense to her, like the statement that her son was autistic.
He listened to me, and he was intelligent and spoke full sentences and had a wonderful personality and was very loving. So where this autism thing comes from, just because his speech, he didn't start having, saying full sentences when, some other children start saying full sentences, does not deem a child as autistic. So I just want that to be clear.
Winston says that neither her son's doctor in New York nor his doctor in Macon ever diagnosed him as autistic. She also says the drowning itself doesn't make sense because her son wasn't the type to wander off and he could swim.
And I know he had to be fighting, and he knew how to swim. He wasn't a big fan of the water, but to go in a pool, his father put him in swimming lessons and things like that, so he knew how to swim.
Winston says she just wants to know the truth about what happened and describes her son as an affectionate, loving child. Now, the child's father released a statement earlier today which said in part, quote, "To every person in our community who came together to aid our family during this dark time, thank you. Our family is grieving the inexplicable loss of the loving, sweet, fun, curious, and eager little man. Thank you for respecting our privacy. Please continue to keep us in your thoughts and prayers while we grieve this profound, tragic loss," end quote. Now, we checked with the coroner's office today, who says the boy's cause of death is still pending toxicology tests. Live in studio, Chase Ambrose, news that works for you.
Thank you, Chase. Tonight, the Bibb County Commission approved a resolution to execute an intergovernment agreement with the Bibb County School District. That resolution calls for an election on Tuesday, November 3rd, to approve the continuation of the 1% educational sales tax. The eSPLOST benefits the Bibb Board of Education, and like the city SPLOST, the funds can only be used for capital improvements and not payroll. Here's which projects are included in the eSPLOST proposal: consolidating Applin Middle and Northeast High School, building a new elementary school, renovating existing schools and improving handicapped accessibility, also improving security with controlled access entrances and a campus police facility.
Well, new tonight, people in Cordele packed a commission meeting to demand answers about the city's audit. The auditor from Malden and Jenkins gave a general overview of the city's financial standings, and it basically said that the city was in a good place, but some had questions about $1.4 million, which was supposedly missing from the general funds account. Auditor said the money wasn't missing, it just wasn't transferred in from the other accounts.
And you have to look at this thing as if it was a household, and the household actually was fine. There was no non-sufficient fund issues or any of that kind of thing. It was just that fund kind of owed more back to the pot than these other funds did.
When stuff was not handled as appropriately as it should have been, but in the end of the day, the money was all there. And any questions got, we're certainly going to look into them.
Our concern is that general fund was overdrawn when it started off, with funding, and then we went to other funds to get money, even though we're saying we had a surplus in those other funds. But the true question is, why was the general fund overdrawn?
The group My Brother's Keepers says that they still plan on sending letters to the Department of Justice, the state attorney, and to the sheriff and try to find out if they want to take a look at the situation, because they still believe that there are some other things that may be going on with the city's finances. Well, new tonight, some amateur weather watchers took in some formal training in Dodge County. The National Weather Service hosted a Skywarn training class in Eastman this evening. Skywarn is a volunteer program with nearly 300,000 trained severe weather spotters nationwide. After being trained, the new Skywarn storm spotters provide reports of severe weather to the National Weather Service. These spotters can verify damage and how strong storms are, which results in better warnings and forecasts for meteorologists in central Georgia.
And speaking of meteorologists, we're in Storm Track Central now with our chief meteorologist, Jeff Cox. And Jeff, parts of Dodge County today had some strong storms move in.
Yeah, it was ironic. While the class was going on, they had a nasty storm in South Dodge County in the Rhine area. Thankfully, no reports of any damage, but they had a lot of thunder and lightning and some heavy rain. Good news is all of that's gone tonight.
Thank goodness
we
for
can
that.
rest easy. Take a look at the radar. You can see, folks, nothing out there tonight. We are bone dry, and I think we'll stay that way for the rest of tonight. Overall, temperatures were the big weather story today, and it's still warm tonight. 84 right now in Macon and Warner Robins. Folks, the high in Macon was 100 degrees. It's the 10th time we've had triple digits this year in the Macon area. Milledgeville, Sparta, Sandersville, you all hit triple digits this afternoon as well. If you're looking to cool down tonight, McRae and Cordell, the place to be, both reporting 78. Here's a look at your school day forecast for Wednesday. We'll be in the mid-70s at the bus stop, but once again, warming up quickly. Low 90s by lunchtime, mid-90s for the ride home. You can't rule out an isolated storm tomorrow, but nothing widespread. I think, again, tomorrow the story is partly to mostly cloudy, and another day way up in the 90s, way above average for this time of year. Are there more triple digits in the 7-day forecast? We'll answer that coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes. Raymond?
Well, new tonight, a Dodge County home was destroyed in a late-night fire. It happened last night. The Eastman Examiner reports that firefighters from Dodge County and inmate firefighters from Wilcox State Prison battled the fire on John B. McCraney Road in Rhine. The house belongs to Jeff and Lynn Clark. Nobody was home when the fire started. The cause remains under investigation. Well, smash and grab at a liquor store on Hartley Bridge Road. We're hearing from the owner tonight. According to the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, it happened at the Macon World of Beverages last week. When the store's owner showed up for work last Friday, he noticed the side glass wall was broken and several cases of alcohol were stolen while others were damaged.
They come out from here and they broke the glass and they try to get the cases out of the window from the bottom.
No one was hurt. Deputies have not identified any suspects. If you have any information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 877-68-CRIME.
Tonight, the search is on in Houston County for several people who attacked a man in Houston County. According to the Houston County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, these suspects broke into a home near Highway 96 and Moody Road overnight. While the homeowner was asleep in bed, assaulted him and stole money. If you have any information, call Sergeant Greg Pennycuff at 218-4790.
Well, the race to the White House is heating up. Just ahead on WGXA News at 10, find out who will lead Thursday's debate. A dangerous delivery. A pizza man is shot at 6 times but survives to deliver another day. We're going to tell you what happened.
As a mother, my inner is telling me that she did not do that.
The family of a woman found dead in a Texas jail cell says they don't believe it was suicide. Find out who they're filing a lawsuit against.
A gunman shot at another Ohio pizza delivery driver only days after a Papa John's driver was shot and killed. The latest victim says now he checks addresses and sometimes even takes weapons on his run.
With one look at the bullet hole in this pizza delivery man's car, it's only a miracle he's not the third driver shot and killed while on the job this year.
He just delivered pizza when he was traveling eastbound on Main Street at Napoleon Avenue.
The victim did not want to talk on camera, but says he's worked at Happy Pizza in Whitehall for the last 2 years. He remembers when James Crabtree was murdered last October when he picked up an odd shift at Grandma's Pizza nearby. And word spread fast when Papa John's driver James Flannery was gunned down last Thursday, just miles away.
He's been shot. Fire, what? He's been shot? He's been shot!
But unlike Flannery's case,
State of Ohio versus Sean C. Wiggins,
this driver survived and helped police catch the gunman,
1 count felony, 2 felonious assault,
who he said jumped out in front of his car.
As he was walking away, Mr. Wiggins then brandished a handgun and fired 6 shots at Mr. Spice while he was sat in his vehicle.
While police are still looking for Flannery's killer, police don't think Tayshawn Wiggins was involved. But the judge still set a nearly $1 million bond in his case.
The Detective Bureau is requesting a high bond, Your Honor. They consider the defendant a flight risk, and they have expressed safety concerns for the community.
The owner of Happy's Pizza says that he rushed to the scene after his driver was shot at. He says that he does allow his drivers to carry weapons.
It's another possible attack on American servicemen and women, this time near Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Multiple reports suggest authorities are searching for 2 suspects. They allegedly fired shots at a group of soldiers at Camp Shelby Joint Forces Training Center, then took off in a red pickup truck. About 4,500 soldiers are conducting a large training exercise at the base this week. Tensions and security protocols remain high at most military installations throughout the country, following a shooting in Chattanooga last month that left 5 service members dead and others wounded. A deadly training accident leaves 2 airmen dead tonight. The airmen from the 24th Special Operations Wing were part of a Special Tactics Division training at Elgin Air Force Base, Florida. The DoD says they died from injuries sustained in an accident on the range during routine military free-fall training. The Pentagon says it sends its heartfelt condolences out to the family and friends of the airmen. The military is not releasing the victims' names until 24 hours after family is notified. The cause of the accident is still under investigation.
Well, a wrongful death lawsuit is filed seeking punitive damages in the case of Sandra Bland. Attorneys for her family say the Texas authorities committed egregious acts and omissions after Bland's traffic stop and arrest back on July 10th.
The family of Sandra Bland has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Waller County Sheriff's Office and others, claiming her constitutional rights were violated. It comes weeks after the 28-year-old woman was found dead inside her jail cell. Bland's family says since her death, information they have obtained from law enforcement has been inconsistent.
This family needs an answer to the principal question, what happened to Sandra Bland? And that is what we are looking to do.
Bland was declared dead just 3 days after she was pulled over for failing to signal a lane change. In exchange with Texas State Trooper Brian Encinia quickly got out of hand, leading to Bland's arrest. Encinia has been placed on administrative leave, but Bland's family wants him fired.
Mr. Encinia is still employed, and it just doesn't make sense that taxpayers would be paying for the type of service that he offered on the 10th of July.
Authorities maintain Bland took her own life. In that effort, they released her autopsy information, along with surveillance video of Bland escorted into a jail cell. Yet Bland's mother is still not convinced.
I wasn't there, but as a mother, my inner is telling me that she did not do that.
The lawsuit asks for a jury trial for unspecified damages. In response, the Texas Department of Public Safety says that it does not discuss potential or pending litigation. Well, 3 North Carolina men are accused of stockpiling weapons for an attack on the U.S. government. According to court documents, the 3 collected military gear and other materials over several months. The documents allege that they intended to booby-trap land in South Carolina and then draw government forces there to kill them. Prosecutors say that the 3 believed that they were resisting an attempt by U.S. government to impose martial law. All three are in federal custody. They're scheduled for court hearings on Thursday.
We're about 48 hours away from the first debate in the 2016 race for the White House. Senior political reporter Scott Thuman gives you an inside look at how a record 10 candidates will pack the stage, vying for time and a chance to impress.
Please welcome the candidates.
Every appearance, every speech, just a warm-up now for this first debate.
It's being built up like a World Wrestling Federation bout.
And on a stage packed 10 across, they will be sparring for the spotlight.
The whole problem for the Republican Party of Donald Trump is he's sucking the air out of everybody else's coverage.
Professor Jane Hall says in this largest candidate field in modern times, they're under intense pressure to capitalize on each second they're given.
Each of them trying to make a moment without having a gaffe, such as Rick Perry.
I would do away with the education,
It's all going to be analyzed, even their body language, like when Al Gore strolled up on George Bush.
And I believe I can.
People do pick up those cues. You remember when George Bush looked down at his watch and people said it looked like he wanted to be somewhere else.
So behind the scenes, they're practicing one-liners and cramming on policy, aware this first showdown may be one of the most watched. And even this early on, there's a lot at stake.
If I'm a viewer, I'm going to be looking to see who looks presidential. If I'm a casual viewer, I'm looking for fireworks. If I'm a journalist, I'm looking for fireworks and substance.
Hall says there's another danger if it becomes a slugfest. It may be fine, for example, if they speak out against Hillary Clinton, but if they go after each other, it gives Democrats plenty of ammunition to use in TV ads throughout the rest of the campaign. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Tonight, we now know the first primetime GOP debate participants. Here are a look at the candidates who made the top 10. Businessman Donald Trump snagging the top spot for Thursday's leadoff debate, followed by Florida's Governor Jeb Bush and Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee comes in 4th place, followed by retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson. 6th place belongs to Texas Senator Ted Cruz. 7th goes to Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Rounding out the bottom 3 is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and Ohio Governor John Kasich. WGXA will have live coverage at 10. The candidates invited to be on stage for the 5 p.m. Eastern Time debate are Rick Perry, Rick Santorum, Bobby Jindal, Carly Fiorina, Lindsey Graham, George Pataki, and Jim Gilmore.
Well, number 44 turns 54. President Obama, the 44th U.S. president, celebrates his 54th birthday today. The president spent a relaxing pre-birthday weekend at Camp David, where he hung out with friends and played golf. According to the very latest CNN ORC poll, the president is enjoying an approval rating of about 50%. President Obama has just over 17 months left in office. Well, in our second half hour of WGXA News at 10, we're working for you to find out how the state school superintendent plans to help students prepare for life after high school.
But first, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox joins us from Storm Track Central. And Jeff, it's been another hot one. We hit triple digits again today.
That's right, the 10th time this year. I'm over it, guys.
I'm over it, too. It's a little bit too hot.
I agree. Ready for cooler weather. We'll get a little bit of a cool down later this week. I'll define cool down with your 7-day forecast. Plus, could a tropical storm be developing off the coast of North Carolina? You'll find out up next. 10:21 on this Tuesday evening, a scorcher of a day across central Georgia. As we documented earlier in the show, triple digits in Macon for the 10th time this year. If you look back at our climatology record, that data goes back to 1900. You only have a 12% chance of having 10 or more triple-digit days in Macon in any given year. So what we've done this year is pretty rare. It's hot, folks. July was the hottest July in 17 years, and that heat has continued into August. We've got this sprawling high that just won't move. It just won't give up, and so we stay hot at least one more day. We do have our area of low pressure off the Carolina coast. Put that right here. We'll come back to it in just a moment. In the meantime, here's the latest loop of our satellite and radar. We had showers and storms in South Georgia, even into parts of South Central Georgia. A nasty storm through parts of Dodge County and into Telfair County, but all of that's long gone, and we are officially rain-free tonight in Central Georgia. Not an ounce of rain on the radar, so we jump ahead to Wednesday. Here's our first look ahead. I'll start you out in the morning at 7. We start out dry. Excuse me, could have a couple of clouds to start the day. Then by the afternoon, I think a better chance of a few thunderstorms tomorrow than what we had today. Nothing widespread, so I think the threat tomorrow is isolated. That threat will start to go up by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then it'll start going back down as we go into early next week. So our thunderstorm forecast for tomorrow, we're all shaded in green. That means a storm is possible, but look on the threat level here, nothing severe expected. So I think if you were okay with today, you'll be good to go tomorrow. In the meantime, temperatures tonight are still very warm. And you got to think about it. When you're up at 100 degrees or hotter, it takes a long time to cool down. So we're still in the mid-80s tonight. It's uncomfortable out there. It's 84 in Macon and Warner Robins. Cool spots are in our south counties where you had some rain earlier today. So places like Eastman and McRae and Cordell are in the 70s. But everyone else at this hour still in the 80s. By tomorrow morning, I do think we all wake up to the 70s. Then by tomorrow afternoon, big difference. We're still above average, but not triple digits. I'm thinking more in the way of mid-90s tomorrow. It's worth pointing out, our average high is now 92. Our average high for Macon peaks at 93. So we're on the downward side of things, folks. So we've just got to get that memo to Mother Nature that we're supposed to start cooling off now based on the climatological averages. All right, let's go back to that low I told you to put in the back of your mind. Here's that area of low pressure moving through Wilmington tonight. It's not very organized. It's trying to become a tropical storm. The hurricane hunters actually flew through this low today, and they said, we're not really impressed. So only a 30% chance that this develops into a tropical cyclone over the next 48 hours. It is pulling away from Georgia, so it's no longer influencing our weather, no longer a concern for beach weather in Georgia or South Carolina for that matter. It will continue moving back out to sea over the next 2 days, so those folks along the outer banks of North Carolina can still expect some rough surf and rip currents and some added clouds and rain, but that's just for the outer banks of North Carolina. Again, we're good to go here on the Georgia coast. All right, let's get you back home. 7-day forecast, 96 tomorrow with an isolated thunderstorm. Better chance of storms by Thursday and Friday. Little cooler by then with low 90s. Storm chance goes down Sunday. At the same time, heat goes back up by Sunday, and we're back in the upper 90s by early next week. Here's your Mosquito Joe Skeeter meter. Screens and sprays are needed for tomorrow. And your fish and game forecast. We're up in the excellent range at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And we'll begin the good range at 7:20 tomorrow night. Amir?
Thank you, Jeff. Lightning strike shut down a gas station in Ohio. Lightning bolts hit the cap of an underground fuel tank at a gas depot in Fairfield. Witnesses say it sparked a massive fireball, saying it was higher than the trees and left behind a massive crater. People living in the area were evacuated but were let back into their homes once crews determined there was no more danger. Firefighters are still worried about some fumes coming from the area. At least 5 people are injured, after an explosion at a Noranda Aluminum in New Madrid, Missouri. Officials say there haven't been any fatalities, but several people were treated on the scene for smoke inhalation and hearing loss. A worker at a nearby business says they felt the explosion and there is a hole through the roof of Noranda. There's no word on what caused the explosion at this time.
New Hampshire authorities say that the severe weather warnings were out there, but they aren't sure that circus operators knew about storms in Lancaster on Monday. The circus tent filled with people collapsed Monday night during 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The accident killed 41-year-old Robert Young and his 8-year-old daughter. Dozens of other people were injured. Now, it's not clear if the circus had the correct permit to even hold a show, which could be a criminal violation. Safety inspectors are still investigating the cause of the collapse. They're looking into the tent setup to make sure that all of the cables were connected and that everything was up to code.
Tonight, the father of a Kansas bat boy who died after being struck by a bat during the game is talking about his son. The boy was wearing his helmet when he was hit in the head as a player took practice swings during Saturday's game against the San Diego Waves. Players on the team referred to him as the little brother they never had. His father, Chad Carlisle, says his son loved the game and the team.
The glow that he would have and the happiness coming along with that, it's because of these players and the team, how much they were there for him as a support. I mean, he loved them. I mean, as a family stuff for me right now. It's different. It's hard.
The boy was hospitalized, initially in critical condition, and died Sunday evening.
A Toledo, Ohio radio show host is under fire for a billboard spoofing Caitlyn Jenner. The billboard shows Denny Schaefer mimicking Jenner's Vanity Fair magazine cover. It also encourages people to transition to Schaefer's radio station and to not call him Caitlyn. LGBT and other activists say that the billboard is hurtful.
It just was a reminder that as a trans person in Toledo, that there are people who feel like my identity and me as a human being is a joke.
In a statement, Schaefer says that the billboard is simply a spoof of a magazine cover. He also called Jenner a hero. A school officer is accused of handcuffing 2 disabled kids, and it's all caught on camera.
Now that officer faces a lawsuit. Coming up in just a few minutes on WGXA News at 10 on Fox 24. We'll show you the hard-to-watch video.
Here are the top stories at this hour. The mother of a 3-year-old boy found dead Sunday under a dock at Lake Tobesaki is in town to plan her son's funeral. She also disputes claims that her son was autistic and says that he knew how to swim. The boy's father is asking for prayers during what he calls this tough time.
And voters will go to the polls November 3rd to decide whether they want to continue the 1% educational sales tax. Tonight, Bibb County Commissioners approved a resolution to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Bibb County School District.
And a family in Dodge County needs a new home after a fire. The Eastman Examiner reports firefighters from Dodge County and inmate firefighters from Wilcox State Prison battled this fire on John B. McCraney Road in Rhine. The cause remains under investigation. Well, we continue your back-to-school coverage. Tonight in Houston County, where the state superintendent stopped at Veterans High School today. It's all part of his back-to-school tour across Georgia.
New at 10, WGXA's Ivy Nova was at the high school and spoke to the superintendent about how his office is helping students find success in the classroom.
It's back to school time in Middle Georgia. Richard Woods, Georgia Superintendent of Schools, stopped at Veterans High School in Kathleen as part of his back-to-school tour. On site, Woods met with students and teachers on what they feel needs to improve in the education system. Some of Woods' own initiatives focus on increasing graduation rates in the state.
First of all, we got to start with our foundation. We know that I think reading is so important, so we are looking at doing some strong reading initiatives with literacy in the K-3 area. But also making sure that we build on that. We're talking with higher ed as far as looking at even teacher preparation.
Woods also wants older students to be prepared beyond high school through local business partnerships.
Reaching out to business and really building some deep relationships so that we can offer our kids the very best opportunities, whether they choose to go to a technical college, a four-year university, the military, or an apprenticeship, or straight into the workforce. What are the industries that you need? What are the industries that will be open, within 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Chris Brown, Veterans High Principal, and Houston County Superintendent Mark Scott welcomed Woods and showed him everything Houston County has to offer.
You have a voice in Atlanta in this respect. It gives you a less of a burden, if you will, because it knows that they're hearing your concerns, they're hearing your thoughts on what may be taking place at the local level, and change can happen because of what we're seeing on the front lines.
We're very fortunate to live in a county that supports public education. Our community believes that public education is the way to educate our children, and that's first and foremost.
Ivy Nova, news that works for you.
Woods continued his tour in South Georgia after leaving Kathleen and Warner Robins today. Well, a fall football practice kicks off at Mercer University's five-star stadium tomorrow morning. The Bears have been on campus for the last 5 weeks taking summer classes and working out. But now head football coach Bobby Lamb says that the players are ready to start playing football again. Tomorrow's session will be helmets only. Then the team will practice with helmets and shoulder pads before the first practice with full pads, which is on Sunday.
Mercer University made the Princeton Review's annual Best Colleges Guide for the 13th year in a row. The guide highlights the best 380 colleges out of the 2,500 four-year schools in the United States. The guide says that Mercer focuses on cultivating a passion for service in both the world and one's immediate surroundings. Mercer University and Wesleyan College were the only Georgia schools to make the Princeton Review's annual list. The University of Georgia makes the cut for the nation's top 10 party schools, coming in 8th place. That's the highest ranking since 2012, when the home of the Bulldogs came in 5th. UGA is the only Southeastern Conference member to make the list. SEC members Ole Miss and University of Florida are also on the party school list. The University of Illinois came first, but administrators aren't happy about it. A spokesman from the school says the ranking paints the university's students in a false light.
Well, Northern Kentucky school resource officer is the target of a federal lawsuit.
It says he went too far when he handcuffed 2 young children who suffer from disabilities. One of those times, he was caught on camera cuffing a kid above the elbow with the child's arms behind his back.
You don't get to swing at me like that. You can do what we've asked you to, or you can suffer the consequences.
The video is hard to watch. It shows Kenton County Sheriff's Deputy Kevin Sumner handcuffing an 8-year-old boy after he'd been removed from a classroom and tried to leave the vice principal's office. A federal lawsuit claims the 3rd grader suffers from PTSD and ADHD.
Now sit down in the chair like I've asked you to.
The video was shot by a Latonia Elementary School employee in November 2014. A second child, a 4th grade girl, was also handcuffed twice at John G. Carlisle School. The suit says she was taken to the hospital when she suffered a mental crisis after the first cuffing. The suit also claims a second time Deputy Sumner had her arms hyperextended above her shoulders when her mother walked in and brought the treatment to a stop.
I was horrified.
Raquel Howard represents the children and their parents. She says the children were exhibiting behaviors that come with their disabilities, and the children are still suffering.
According to their parents, they have had some continuing effects of it, some continuing trauma.
If you want them off, you know what to do. Stop kicking.
For parents who have children at Latonia Elementary, the video is shocking.
It's been a really good school over there, but to see an officer do that to a very young child, I would not, it's not acceptable.
We now know that the deputy has resigned. A spokesperson for Covington Independent School says that the district has cooperated fully in the case with the attorneys for the children, as well as the sheriff's office. Well, the price tag for education is a high one, and Georgia is one of the worst states for student loans. Tonight on WGXA News at 10, we're working on your side to find out how you can take the weight of student debt off of your books. Study on WalletHub ranks Georgia as the 5th worst state for student debt. It shows just over 11% of all student loans in default, and they're the largest non-housing debt for Americans. Parents we spoke to say that students should try for more scholarships.
You don't want to be in a deep debt when you get out of school, because then you've got to, housing, your electric bills, and all the other stuff that you're going to have to pay, plus your student loans and stuff. So if you can avoid it at all costs, please don't go into debt.
Researchers came up with their rankings based on set ranges for average student debt. And at Fox 24, we're on your side with ways to get relief if you are drowning in student loan debt. First of all, if you have a federal student loan, you've got a lot more options than you do with private loans, including loan forgiveness. If you are in a military, government, or public service or safety job, you may be able to apply to have your student loan debt forgiven. You need to have at least 10 years of payments. Even in private sector jobs, you can qualify after 25 years. Ask your loan servicer for details on any forgiveness programs and whether you may qualify. Another option on federal student loans, you may qualify for the pay as you earn program. If you took your loan after 2007, it caps your monthly payment at 10% of income. And on top of that, if you still have any remaining loan balance after 20 years, that will be forgiven. If your loan is before 2007, your payment is still capped at 15% of your monthly income, and your loan is forgiven after 25 years of payments. Another option, refinancing. And there are a few private sector options that may even work for private and federal student loans. One of the more popular options out right now is called Student Choice. It's offered through a number of credit unions. If you see that you are headed toward tight times, you can talk to your loan servicer. You've got a lot more options available if you haven't missed payments or fallen behind. Well, Fiat Chrysler is recalling nearly 300,000 Chargers from 2011 to 2014. Slamming the door shut may deploy side airbags because of the impact. Fiat Chrysler believes 3 people were injured because of the malfunction. The automaker says the problem is rare, but owners should use caution until the vehicle is serviced.
The Food and Drug Administration has issued a cybersecurity alert to hospitals using computer-controlled pumps that administers drugs to patients. The agency warns that Symbic infusion systems manufactured by Hospira contains vulnerabilities in its software that could allow a hacker to adjust the dosage of a drug. Hospira is in the process of removing the Symbic infusion system from the market. The FDA is advising healthcare facilities to avoid purchasing the pumps from these third parties. This looks like an ordinary pill, but it's not. It's made by a 3D printer. It's the first of its kind approved by the FDA. The drug in question treats certain types of epileptic seizures. Aprecia makes the drugs. The company says the pill is made by printing layers until the correct dosage is reached. Aprecia says the drug should be available for prescription use next year. Cilantro could be to blame for an intestinal infection in parts of the U.S. The CDC says investigators in Wisconsin and Texas preliminarily identified cilantro as the culprit. The cilantro comes from Mexico's Puebla states. More than 300 cases of the infection have been reported in 26 states this year, including clusters in Georgia. The infection is caused by consuming food or drink containing a certain parasite. Symptoms include fatigue, bloating, weight loss, and nausea. A 5th undercover Planned Parenthood video goes public tonight on Fox 24, while the fight to defund the group continues and what they say about the latest accusations.
2 tonight, a fifth Planned Parenthood video is released.
An anti-abortion group released the undercover video alleging fetal organ sales that activists say was shot inside a Houston Planned Parenthood clinic.
If we could provide...
The latest video in a sustained effort to undermine support for Planned Parenthood reprises the dramatic effects that have helped the Center for Medical Progress stoke the growing controversy. Edited undercover video with a Planned Parenthood research director in Texas talking about extracting intact fetus cadavers and body parts from abortions for use in fetal tissue research.
So that anything that we integrate into that procedure without having you cover the procedural cost is going to be higher, right? So anything about higher gestational age, there's more opportunity for complications.
Interspersed with talk about budgets and money.
If we alter our process and we are able to obtain intact fetal cadavers, then we can make it part of the budget that any dissections are this, and splitting the specimens into different shipments is this. I mean, it's all just a matter of line items.
The end of the video includes graphic pictures of what is described as fetal tissue with the voices of the actors who posed as representatives of a company that collects tissue samples, asking questions and identifying body parts with Planned Parenthood lab technicians. Today, even before it was released, the leader of the group responsible for the video predicted it would have more impact than the other productions.
It's perhaps going to be even more shocking. You're going to see evidence in it of how Planned Parenthood is actually willing to sell fully intact fetuses to buyers of aborted fetal tissue.
Planned Parenthood, facing a sustained push in Congress to stop the group from getting government funding, is in full damage control mode.
What we're seeing here are attacks on people's ability to get health care.
Several states, including Texas, have launched Planned Parenthood investigations, with the video accusing the group of offering to adjust medical procedures in order to preserve tissue and parts for research groups to purchase. There are calls for the Justice Department to investigate. Planned Parenthood asserted the footage released today doesn't show Planned Parenthood staff engaged in any wrongdoing or agreeing to violate any legal or medical standards.
Well, selling the Iranian nuclear deal to lawmakers and the American public is not getting any easier for the Obama administration.
National polls show a majority of voters are either opposed to it or remain evenly divided. WGXA's national correspondent Jeff Barnes breaks down the numbers.
This is one of the most important decisions that I will make.
This is a bad deal.
It is a profound threat to the safety and security of Americans.
We're going to be doing town hall meetings.
The pact with Iran is top of mind and controversial.
A nuclear weapon in the hands of a radical Islamic regime is a nightmare for America.
And this month, members of Congress will host town hall meetings in their districts, presenting what some believe is the last best chance for voters to influence the Congress members who are still undecided.
I will not let pressure, politics, or party influence.
But could the voices of constituents really carry more weight than lobbyists or even the president?
In a rare occasion in a town hall meeting, you can get a sense where there's sort of unanimous sentiment about a particular issue.
The president has to hold 179 Democratic votes in both the House and the Senate to assure a veto-proof majority, just in case Congress strikes this deal down. Lawmakers heading off for summer recess are paying attention to what voters are saying.
We've gotten a number of calls and emails from voters, and they've been running about even, people for and against the agreement.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Jeff Barnes reporting.
That brings us to our question of the day. We ask, should your Congress member vote to support or reject the nuclear deal with Iran? Deborah Ray says support. It's about time we get on board with working for the good of all.
Diane Jennings says reject. You don't make deals with the devil.
And Jackie Jones says reject. Giving Iran any access is like giving a murderer a knife, handcuffs, duct tape, and saying, now we trust you not to use these. I'll check back with you and see how it's going later. Now, do you really think that they will abide because we trust them?
We want to know what you think. Find us on Facebook by searching WGXA.TV.
When we return to WGXA News at 10 on Fox 24, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox will have a final look at your forecast.
And Jeff, could a tropical storm be developing off of the Carolina coast?
Guys, it's something we've been watching. The hurricane hunters flew into that low pressure today, so we'll be talking about that. Plus, more triple digits in the forecast. You'll find out after the break. Stay tuned. .53 on this Tuesday night. It was another hot day across central Georgia. We documented in our first half hour triple digits for Macon, Milledgeville, Sparta, and Sandersville. And because of that warm weather we had this afternoon, we're still very warm tonight. The weather map showing high pressure still in control in the Gulf of Mexico. As long as it sits here, folks, we remain warm and we remain, let's say, dodging the ability to dodge organized weather systems with just pop-up storms for the afternoon. In the meantime, we do have our area of low pressure off the Carolina coast. We'll talk more about that. The latest information coming in right now. Give me about 2 minutes and we'll get there. Let's tackle what's happened over central Georgia, though, this evening. Thankfully, we are storm-free at this hour. We had plenty of storms in South Georgia. A couple of those were able to sneak up into parts of central Georgia, and they caused a little chaos this afternoon. A real nasty storm in South Dodge and into Telfair counties around 6 o'clock this evening, but all of that's long gone. We're rain-free. The rain, though, added up big time down south. You can see the definition of isolated is the rule today where the rain totals were picked up by the radar. But notice a couple of bullseyes in Dodge and Telfair counties. Near Rhine in South Dodge County, 2.5 inches of rain estimated by our radar. Even more in Telfair County, where 3.5 inches of rain fell today, according to the radar. And that was that storm that was really, really strong and didn't move at all. Thankfully, again, all of that's gone as we turn in for the night. So here's our first look ahead. We'll start you out at 7 tomorrow morning with just a few passing clouds. We will be dry to start the day. Then by the afternoon, with the daytime heating, a couple of pop-up showers and storms. I think the chance for storms tomorrow is better than today, but still isolated is the theme for tomorrow. Here it is on our thunderstorm forecast. We're all shaded in green. That means a storm is possible, but on the threat level, they would not be severe. So just garden variety storms for tomorrow. Temperatures are still in the upper 70s to mid 80s tonight. We're taking a while to cool off, but we will make it up into the 70s by tomorrow morning, then back to the mid and upper 90s by tomorrow afternoon, still above average for this time of year. Quick update on our low pressure off the Carolina coast. Hurricane hunters flew into this today trying to determine if it was going to be a tropical storm. They said no. Doesn't look favorable to become a tropical storm. As it moves up the Carolina coast and back out to sea the next couple of days, it will still bring some rough surf and rip currents to the Outer Banks. But at this point, as it pulls away from the Georgia coast, no further impacts along the Georgia coast. So good news there. Here's your 7-day forecast for central Georgia. 96 for tomorrow with an isolated thunderstorm. Cooler for the rest of the week with better storm chances. Then by Sunday, we get hotter as the storm chances go down into early next week. Here's your Mosquito Joe Skeeter meter. Still need the screens and sprays for tomorrow. And your fish and game forecast will be way up in the excellent range at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And we'll be in the good range at 7:20 tomorrow night. So our high today, triple digits in Macon, but it's worth mentioning our average high is now 92. So we're on the downward side. We peak at 93. So Mother Nature needs to be sent that memo that we start to cool off.
It doesn't feel like the downward side of the heat index.
It's certainly getting today. It was awful out there.
You say even a week out, more 100 could be here possibly.
Possibly middle of next week.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. That is it for WGXA News at 10.
Start your day with us tomorrow with WGXA Morning News.
Hot in Cleveland's up next. We'll see you tomorrow.